All right, that just about wraps it up for us here at the 2014 Toronto edition of Riot Fest. We've got one more interview to go. It's with Ben from Mississauga's Billy Talent. They've become one of the most popular punk pop bands in the entire world. In my opinion, only Green Day would be bigger. The first time I saw Billy Talent, they were opening up the Area 2 festival at the Molson Amphitheatre many years ago, and they've come such a long way. I talked to Ben about their extreme surge in popularity, as well as some of the more political material they've been putting out recently, particularly a song called Surprise, Surprise. All right, I'm backstage here at Toronto Riot Fest 2014, speaking with Ben from Billy Talent on a moment where the sun has finally broken through. How you doing right now?
I'm good. I feel like I look like the Unabomber in the reflection of your glasses.
Do you feel guilty? Yeah. Did it make you feel guilty?
No, I just kind of look a little scruffy.
We'll put that right there. We'll put that right there.
They play today.
Exactly.
They need the win.
So I want to start by off with the Canadian perception of Billy Talent. My first Billy Talent concert was when Billy Talent opened the Area 2 festival at the Molson Amphitheatre. If you remember that concert.
You're probably the only person to know that. You know that?
And you were. I was in the lawns. Yeah.
That's very nerdwar of you.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It's a compliment. So that we weren't even signed, or we had been 10 years of toiling in the city and kind of kicking around from gig to gig, and I don't know how it happened, but I remember getting a call saying Busta Rhymes can't get over the border, and would we be interested in playing this show? And we're like, with David Bowie and Moby, and we're like, absolutely, and Blue Man Group. Yeah, how weird is that?
Yeah.
And I remember, actually, I have a cool side story to that. I was working at this place called The Edge, and there was a guy named Alan Cross who worked there. He's pretty good, pretty smart, pretty knowledgeable fella. Anyway, and the music director at the time was a guy named Neil Mann, and Neil Mann and I went to, I can't remember what hotel, I think it was the Sutton place, something like that. And we ended up doing an interview with David Bowie, and I remember sitting in his hotel room, and Bowie didn't have any cigarettes, and I had cigarettes, and I gave him a cigarette, and so we had a cigarette together, and I said, you know what, on a side note, I just found out that we're actually playing tomorrow, at the same festival as you. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. It's like, well, I'll come check you out. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure, right.
So then, sure enough, cue to the next day, and we're very scared. We've never played on a stage that big before. It was at the Molson Amphitheatre, and I look over, and sure enough, there was David Bowie standing side stage, smiling the whole time, bobbing his head. I was like, oh my God. At that point in my life, and I could have died. Like, that was just the coolest thing in the entire world. So, anyway, and you were there.
Yes, I was. And I remember you finished your sound check as we were walking in, too. I remember that part of it.
I think we were the first band on.
Yeah. But then sort of my perception of Billy Talent is difficult, being a Canadian, I feel, and then jump to some performances later, and then you're playing the Quebec City Summer Festival the night before Rammstein plays, and Festival d'été, and it's I have never seen that many people for a punk rock band in my entire life, and so it's my perception is when did that happen to Billy Talent, and it's kind of blows my mind a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well, imagine us. We still. We were having this conversation yesterday with the boys, and it's just kind of this weird thing where all of our dreams, everything that we could have possibly ever imagined times 5,000 million, have come true for us. And I think now, as we're 10 years in, as like people kind of knowing us, and we're 21 years in as a band, the four of us together, we are more appreciative. Not that we were always appreciative and very thankful, but we truly value and are so, and I use the word blessed, not in like a religious connotation, but like we feel like we're very thankful for everything that we've had, and now it's just a matter of trying to keep going, you know what I mean, and keep writing songs that inspire us, keep writing songs that inspire other people, and but that turning point, I don't know when it was. I don't have a. There was no specific catalyst that kind of happened. It was just a slow and then really fast mountain.
Mountain.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's cool.
So that's why it was kind of a shock as a Canadian, because it doesn't really happen to many of our artists. And so the only band in terms of success that I can compare it to, and also in terms of genre, is Green Day in terms of massiveness. And I feel that like now you travel the world and you are greeted as these punk rock superstars. And there's lots of other quality bands around. I was talking to Newfound Glory earlier. Goldfinger is another band that comes to mind, but like these bands don't achieve these certain levels. Does that make it difficult to sort of write a punk song, write something rebellious because you're being put up there?
No, I see what you're getting at, but no, I don't think so, because we've never really, we love punk rock music, but we also love ska. Right. We love reggae. We love hip hop. We love blues. We love Led Zeppelin as much as we love Bad Religion. Right. We love Black Sabbath as much as we love the Buzzcocks. You know what I mean? Or the Clash is I'll use the Clash as a perfect band. The Clash, one of my favorite bands of all time. But the thing about the Clash was they were considered a punk rock band because of what they were talking about, the time to which they were, there was this whole scene kind of happening, and they were wearing crazy clothes.
Right.
But if you listen to London Calling, it's not really a punk rock record. There are so many different genres of music on that record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that we've always prided ourselves on, is that we have some slow, mid-tempo-y kind of ballady songs. We have these really weird songs, but people kind of know us in some regards as being like that live, crazy band, which is great.
Right.
But we also have a lot more to us than just being that one-dimensional kind of we're a punk band.
Right.
It's like we're not a punk band.
But don't you think that even though you have a lot of diversity in your sound, I think that's definitely without question, but you have that sort of punk spirit within each song, and I think to keep it alive when you're in front of tens of thousands, and that's to me is the barrier, going from thousands to tens of thousands. Yeah. When you're playing in front of that many people, it can, Green Day sometimes, it can kind of seem forced sometimes, but I don't think that really happens to you so much. You know what I mean?
I don't think so, I don't think that really happens with Green Day either. But for me, I like Green Day, and I think they're a great band. I've been a fan.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying, but there's a step, right? There's something that happens in this cosmic, beautiful way, right, where you don't know, when they were releasing, Dookie, and even beyond that and before that, they never knew that they were going to go and become this thing.
Of course not, yeah.
And then, I was actually having this conversation again yesterday with my wife about, I was saying, when Green Day released Warning, I was a big Green Day fan still. I mean, I remember going to the record store, buying it, going home, listening to it, and being like, all right, it's pretty cool, but it's, there's a couple good songs on it. The rest of it I could see. And I kind of thought, okay, well, we'll see what's going to happen, And then sure enough, they kind of went away for a long time. American Idiot.
Right.
Dropped like a fucking anvil on the entire world and changed. And then all of a sudden, Green Day was this thing again. Right? They resurrected themselves. So I think that there's something that happens where there's this ebb and flow of what is and what isn't, and what's on vogue and what's not on vogue, you know. And personally, this makes me happier in so many different ways. But a long-winded answer is coming to your question. But I will say, having bands like DFA, Rise Against, Brand New, who I love, who I can't wait to go see. Us, there's rock bands still,
right,
and things have kind of got a little diluted, and everything's like a digestive cookie right now. Everything kind of, everything's just very, synthesizers, happy, kind of pop 80s thing happening again, right?
Sure.
But there's still the desire for rock and roll,
right,
and I think that's what happens with us, is if people want to go see a good rock show, they'll come to a Billy Talent show, because I think we've proved over 10 years that we love to have fun, and that's the most important thing, is to connect with people, try your best, have as much fun as you can, and let it go. So regardless if it's in a club in front of 10 people, or if it's on a stage in front of however many people are coming today, the essence isn't different. It's just the songs. It all goes back to the songs. And if the songs speak to you and speak to him, and then it spreads into this thing, you can't control that. You know what I mean? So I don't know whether it's in the punk rock thing or the hip hop thing, but it doesn't matter what you say. It's kind of how you say it. Mm-hmm. And if people connect to it, then they connect to it. So you can't, I see what you're saying about the Green Day thing. But I think obviously there's a reason why it's reached so many people.
Okay, fair enough. I think at least it's sort of my next sort of question. You've maintained this level of success, and so far, right at the moment, and but then you have a song like "Surprise, Surprise," which, like for lack of a better word, took me for surprise because it seems, speaking directly to a band that's in your position. You know what I mean? Put that back on. Yeah. Put the J side back on. But it's very hard for a lot of kids, and I think a lot of people were disillusioned by the sort of Green Day doing it, talking about political stuff and being marketed to when they're you're in a band that's being marketed to them. You know what I mean? And so it's how do you sort of find that ride that line where you're become so successful because so many people identify with you that now you're on a level next to the people that you're kind of warning them against. You know what I mean?
I do. I don't think.
You don't think you're that big, and that's in terms of the amount of people.
I think there's another side to our band that, if you're a fan, you're aware of. We have a really good sense of humor, and a song like "Surprise, Surprise" is it's a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing of what we were seeing and different things that were happening, like in our local kind of hood. You know what I mean? So, just because I'm in a band and just because I have had success to a certain point, right. I'm still allowed to say whatever the fuck I want. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if people, like, if you're a small indie band, you can say whatever you want and there's cred. But if you're a bigger band and you say things, how is that diluted in any way? You know what I mean?
It's not a matter of it's diluted. It's a matter of that I think people in general, whether you want them to or not, have trouble taking politics from people who have got a lot of success seriously. We're talking about young people. Be careful what you're marketed to is basically what I got. It's definitely
good advice.
Right. It's just
be careful, be aware.
But I guess I'm saying I'm asking you yourself and the band. How do you guys, I guess, stay grounded in that sense where now you are being put up to a really big level of success that I don't think that you ever expected that you'd be at, and now I feel that whether you realize it or not, you're now on that level where the people that are marketing the things that you don't like could also be marketing you. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I do, but I'm looking at it about 10 yards further than that. You know what I mean?
Tell me.
I will. Bands like, let's go back. If you want to go to the Clash, you want to go to the Pistols, they were both signed on major labels, by the way. Rage Against the Machine signed to a major label. Those things were vessels to me that reached out. It Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back by Public Enemy.
Amazing.
That's the first tape I ever bought. But that spoke to me. That resonated with me in a way that I had never thought about before. Right? I didn't look at what fucking label they were on. I looked at what the message was that was carrying. I don't care how it got to me. And nowadays, labels don't even, they are the most irrelevant thing in the world. It doesn't matter. That whole thing of the 90s, what label are you on? That doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't. Because I can't tell you any of the labels that any of the bands here are on. Except for DFA because on Last Gang because my friend owns the label. But that being said, when you're spoken to in a certain way, Bob Dylan, Pearl Jam, all these people, I love Eddie Vedder. I think he's quite possibly one of the coolest humans on the planet. But for me, I would always take what they were saying for what it meant to me. If I agreed with it, great. If I didn't, great. But if you're going to tell me something and if you're going to show me something, I'm at least going to listen. And that, I don't think that's necessarily the like a band like Rise Against, who I love a lot. They're very politically driven, but they're also on a major label. They tour around the world, but that doesn't discredit what they're talking about. Sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me and us as a band, we do have some political, we have some political background. We're aware of our environment. We speak about, as I would always say, we speak about topics that I would have a beer with you at the pub over. Sure. You know what I mean? And hear your point of view. We're just going to express one side. Whether you agree with it, that's one thing. But at least we're going to bring it up.
Right.
Because I think that if people don't bring up the fact that You need to be aware of what, and it's like what I said. Be aware of even what we're saying. Take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
But we're at least gonna spark a conversation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So last question then. Do you think that because all those examples that you mentioned, like Takes a Nation of Millions and all that great music, do you think that the digital age has diluted albums like that and examples like that, A, for people taking it seriously, or B, with getting the message out at all?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's diluted it to me, but I'm also 38 years old and I've had those bands as a point of reference throughout my whole life, right? I don't know how kids get music anymore. Like, put it this way. If you're going to hear a song and it's on a video game,
right,
that's a new medium that kids listen to music, right? If that song is talking about X issue,
right,
does that take away from, like, the medium to which you're receiving it? Does that take away the validity of the song?
Right.
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Right.
Because the world's changed and the way we consume everything from food to music to TV to movies is completely different.
Yeah.
So for you and I see you have gray hair as well, so we probably have a different perspective about it, right? And because we grew up in a different school.
Exactly.
You talk to, Aaron's kid who's 11, 12 years old about how they receive and get music, it's going to be a hell of a lot different than what we ever knew about.
Exactly.
But I think that's what I'm saying. So that's my overall, that's like my is it Maury Povich or Jerry Springer? His like final thought.
Jerry Springer.
Is like, no matter what, if you're in a band or if you're an artist, nowadays, in order to get to people's devices, homes, cars, there's this weird new way that it's all kind of funnels down. I don't understand it. I try, because I should, but we were lucky enough that we got a lot of success at an earlier point when that whole thing was just kind of starting, right? But we still had much music and MTV and radio and and all these kind of things that really aren't as powerful anymore. Hi guys. So I think that we are in a pretty interesting, challenging, cool, exciting, Wild West kind of time right now. But I think that no matter what, if you have a good message, it's going to reach people if they want to hear it.
I totally do. Yes, I totally do. Thank you so much, Ben, for speaking to me today. Wish you the best of luck with your performance tonight and in the future. And do you have any final words today?
I gave my final words. Don't eat yellow snow.
Backstage at Riot Fest with Ben from Billy Talent, I'm Andrew Epstein for Alan Cross's A Journal of Musical Things, and we'll see you next time.